Hello friends, it's Karla here today with Creative Scrapbooker Magazine and IndigoBlu. I'm going to show you some products that we're using today to make a mixed media tag. We have some Gesso and grab and go glue. We've got Luscious powders, which are sparkly and lovely. These are from the Fairy Tales collection, but there's many different ones in the shop. We have some acrylic paints, which are lovely and vibrant, and these ones are from the Summer Lovin' collection. I love the names that they have associated with their Luscious powders and their paints. We have some Ranger Archival inks, which are permanent and waterproof. Some beautiful Robin's Nest dewdrops. We're going to be using the IndigoBlu Ragtime journal, and we're actually going to be cutting some off of this to use the watercolor paper, but it would also make just a lovely journal that you can open up. We have some Greyboard tags, which are really nice, thick tags, and we'll be adding our paints and stamps to these tags. Here we've got the Squiggly flowers, which are some really lovely flower images. Their stamps are red rubber, and they stamp beautifully. Here we have some bordering on the ridiculous, and I love the names of these sets. We also have tasty textures, and you can just see these stamped images are so lovely. We have a stencil, and there are lots of stencils in the store. And here we're going to apply some of the white gesso, and they call it GEE-Sso Good Gesso. It's a really great thick white paint that you can apply directly onto your surfaces, and that allows the paints that you put over top to really move around a little easier rather than getting sucked into the greyboard. So now our gesso is dry and we're opening up our paints. You just pull off that little tab and then the paints open up. They're acrylic paint, so they are water-based, but once they dry, they're permanent. And I'm adding some water to them because they are really, really nice and pigmented. So even watered down, you can see how bright these paints are. I'm going for a bit of a mixed background painted look. There's going to be lots of layers on this. So I just thought I would add some colors, see where it goes. You can see how you get some of the blue showing through the yellow, so you get a little bit of a green tint because it is a little translucent with the water in there. I did spray some water on and kind of move things around a bit, but I don't really think that you have to do that. I really was just playing around and getting used to how those reacted. Now I'm going to cut a page off of that album to grab the watercolor paper. That was the OLFA scissors that I love. They are stitching scissors, but you can use them for fussy cutting, or I use them for fussy cutting, and really love that they're really nice and sharp and small. I'm just coating the back of this paper. I'm not putting any gesso on this. I really want it to soak into that watercolor handmade paper, and I just want to get a multicolored background. So I'm just mixing the paints and kind of just having fun with it. I want to use the sponge to apply some paint through the stencil. So I love this stencil because there's so many different images. It would look great as a whole background image, but I really wanted to focus on the individual pieces. So just adding a few sticky notes lets me mask off different areas. And I'm just adding them to different parts, drying in between. There is water and sponge, so I'm not expecting a really crisp, clear sponged look. I just am going for that mixed media, soft, kind of watered down look. And because those paints were dry underneath, we could layer on the the pink paint over top of the blue and the yellow, and just get that really nice pink look over top. And you can see it kind of softened when it dried. I'm using one of the purple Archival inks. These are great to use on top of any mixed media that you've already laid down. They are permanent and waterproof, so if you decided you wanted to layer something else on top, then they're not going to move. And I like that you get a pretty crisp, clear image with these inks. With the Archival inks, they do, because they're permanent, they tend to stick on your stamps, but if you want to get them wiped off nicely, I do use the Ranger Archival ink cleaner, and it works really nicely. Now we've got the brown, I think that was Vintage Photo, and we've got this fun stamp that to me looks like cardboard that is torn. I really love this one. And I tend to stamp in 3 different areas at least over the back of the tag. And sometimes I don't ink when I restamp so that I get a lighter second impression, like a second generation stamp. Now we are going to take the stitching stamp, or to me it looks like stitching, and we're going to put that on the background and use some black ink. I like that little round stamp as well. It looks like a little bit of thread that's twisted around. And I have my stamp press. If you're using the stamp press from Tonic, you want to put it onto the rubber side so that you have a little bit extra space, because rubber stamps are a little thicker than the polymer stamps. And I'm going to stamp directly onto that Ragtime journal paper. So I usually stamp 2 or 3 times, and I also grab this other stamp set that has this little bee in it because I thought that would be great, and I grabbed a sentiment out of it. There's so many different stamp sets in the IndigoBlu store that you can mix and match. I also picked up these rulers that have this torn edge. They come in a pack of 2, and so I love this. You can tear the edges of your paper and get a really organic looking tear, but obviously it's a little more controlled because you're using these rulers, but there's all kinds of different parts of the rulers and edges to use, and then I just added a little bit of ink around it. And adding a little bit of that brown ink around the tag as well just kind of finishes it off. We are going to do some painting with the Luscious powders. There's lots of different things you can do with them. IndigoBlu also has a wonderful YouTube channel and Facebook page that has so many ideas using these. I'm just simply adding water to the powder. They're shimmery, so this gives me a shimmery paint that I can then add right on top of my stamps to get a really pretty shimmery effect. It's translucent because we've added the water, so we're still going to be able to see the color underneath that we painted on. And the Archival ink is permanent, so it's not going to move when we add that water. And I've grabbed a Zebra Sarasa gel pen, and this worked great for hand drawing some leaves and some stems so that I could add a few more onto my little flower bouquet that I'm adding to the tag. Here you can see it's all painted lovely. And then I'm going to use those OLFA scissors and hand cut around the flowers and the leaves. And I find just fussy cutting takes a little bit of practice, but if you just enjoy the process, I really enjoy it. I don't mind just sitting and watching something and fussy cutting, and then I have my images all cut out. I'm just placing the cut images on the tag in whatever order that I feel like it looks great in before I commit to gluing things down, and just adding a few more leaves. Now I have the grab and go glue, which is a bit of a tongue twister, and it's a really great glue that sticks really well. I like liquid glue, and I really am a fan of this. I'm using my finger to apply some onto the little smaller areas like this stem, and then just pressing it down. It does dry clear as well. I'm grabbing some Craft Perfect foam squares from Tonic and using those to apply the popped up elements. And I have grabbed my Robin's Nest Creative Dewdrops. These are lovely acrylic gem type embellishments. There's various colors, there's various shapes and sizes, and they're really lovely for adding. So you can see through them, so you can see what's underneath. And I added them to the background with the grab and go glue. I have some purple Nouveau crystal drops, and these are great for adding as embellishments as well. The nozzle is very fine, and so I just added it to those little tiny dotted areas, and you can make as big or as small a little embellishment as you like. I had some purple ribbon in my stash and added that onto the top of the tag to finish it off. I had so much fun using all these beautiful IndigoBlu products and creating this mixed media tag. I hope you'll definitely check them out. They were so much fun to combine and to use together. Thanks so much for stopping by.